Penguin Random House Audio presents At the Dark End of the Street, Black Women, Rape, and Resistance, a new history of the civil rights movement from Rosa Parks to the rise of Black Power, by Danielle L. Mcguire. Read for you by Robin Miles.
Prologue. On September 3, 1944, the Rock Hill Holiness Church in Abbeville, Alabama, rocked late into the night. It was nearly midnight when the doors of the wooden one-story church swung open, releasing streams of worshippers, all African-American, into the moonlight. After a night of singing and praying, Reese Taylor, Fanny Danielle, and Danielle's 18-year-old son, West, stepped out of the country chapel and strolled toward home alongside the peanut plantations that bounded the Abbeville Headland Highway. Taylor, a slender, copper-colored and beautiful 24-year-old mother and sharecropper, noticed a rattletrap green Chevrolet pass them at least 3 times, young white men gawking from its windows. "You reckon what they are up to?" Taylor asked. Taylor and Danielle, a stout 61-year-old woman, watched the car creep by one last time and roll to a stop a few feet ahead of them. 7 men, armed with knives and guns, got out of the car and walked toward the women. Herbert Lovett, the oldest of the crew at 24 and a private in the U.S. Army, shouted, "Halt!" When they ignored the order, Lovett leveled his shotgun. West tugged at his mother's sleeve, begging her to stop. "They might shoot you," he whispered. As the circle of men closed in, Lovett waved his gun at Taylor. "We're looking for this girl right here. She's the one that cut that white boy in Clopton this evening," Lovett said, adding that the local sheriff, George H. Gamble, had dispatched the group to find the alleged assailant. "You're wrong," Fanny insisted. "She's been to my house all day." The men crowded closer, nodding their heads in agreement. "Ain't this her?" Lovett asked. "Yep, this the one," Joe Culpepper said. "I know her by the clothes she got on." "That's her," Luther Lee agreed. "Get her." Lovett lurched toward Taylor and grabbed her arm. Then he turned to West and asked if Taylor was his wife. "No," West replied. "She's Willie Guy Taylor's wife." Undeterred, Lovett extended his hand to the teenager, ordered him to shake it, and promised not to hurt Taylor. "We're going to take her up here and see if Mr. Gamble knows her," Lovett claimed. "If she's not the one, we'll bring her right back." As Lovett spoke, Taylor managed to wrest her arm from his grasp and bolted toward a stand of trees behind a cabin. "Come back. Come back," Fanny yelled. "They're going to shoot you. Come back." "Stop," Lovett shouted. He cocked the gun at the back of her head. "I'll kill you if you run." Lovett walked Taylor to the car and shoved her into the back seat. 3 men piled in behind her, while 4 others squeezed into the front. The headlights switched off, and the car crept away. After a few miles, the green sedan turned off the main highway, rattled down a red clay tractor path into the woods, and stopped in a grove of pecan trees. "Y'all aren't carrying me to Mr. Gamble," Taylor shouted. The men in the back seat clasped her wrists and ordered her to be quiet. Lovett grabbed his gun and waved Taylor and his companions out of the car. "Get them rags off," he barked, pointing the shotgun at her, "or I'll kill you and leave you down here in the woods." Sobbing, Taylor pulled off her clothes. "Please," she cried, "let me go home to my husband and my baby." Lovett spread an old hunting coat on the ground, told his friends to strip down to their socks and undershirts, and ordered Taylor to lie down. Lovett passed his rifle to a friend and took off his pants. Hovering over the young mother, he snarled, "Act just like you do with your husband, or I'll cut your damn throat." Lovett was the first of 6 men to rape Taylor that night. When they finished, someone helped her get dressed, tied a handkerchief over her eyes, and shoved her back into the car. Back on the highway, the men stopped and ordered Taylor out of the car. "Don't move until we get away from here," one of them yelled. Taylor heard the car disappear into the night. She pulled off the blindfold, got her bearings, and began the long walk home. A few days later, a telephone rang at the NAACP branch office in Montgomery, Alabama. E.D. Nixon, the local president, promised to send his best investigator to Abbeville. That investigator would launch a movement that would ultimately change the world. Her name was Rosa Parks. In later years, historians would paint Parks as a sweet and reticent old woman whose tired feet caused her to defy Jim Crow on Montgomery's city buses. Her solitary and spontaneous act, the story goes, sparked the 1955 bus boycott and gave birth to the civil rights movement. But Rosa Parks was a militant racewoman, a sharp detective, and an anti-rape activist long before she became the patron saint of the bus boycott. After meeting with Recy Taylor, Rosa Parks helped form the Committee for Equal Justice. With support from local people, she helped organize what the Chicago Defender called the strongest campaign for equal justice to be seen in a decade. 11 years later, this group of homegrown leaders would become better known as the Montgomery Improvement Association. The 1955 Montgomery bus boycott, often heralded as the opening scene of the civil rights movement, was in many ways the last act of a decades-long struggle to protect black women like Taylor from sexualized violence and rape. The kidnapping and rape of Recy Taylor was not unusual in the segregated South. The sexual exploitation of black women by white men had its roots in slavery and continued throughout the better part of the 20th century. When African Americans tested their freedom during Reconstruction, former slaveholders and their sympathizers used rape as a weapon of terror to dominate the bodies and minds of African American men and women. Interracial rape was not only used to uphold white patriarchal power, but was also deployed as a justification for lynching black men who challenged the Southern status quo. In addition to the immediate physical danger African Americans faced, sexual and racial violence functioned as a tool of coercion, control, and harassment. Ida B. Wells, the gun-toting editor of the Memphis Free Press, who led a crusade against lynching in the 1890s, argued that white men accused black men of rape as part of a larger system of intimidation designed to keep blacks subservient and submissive. Worse, Wells argued at the turn of the century, white men used the protection of white womanhood to justify their own barbarism. The rape of black women by white men continued, often unpunished, throughout the Jim Crow era. As Reconstruction collapsed and Jim Crow arose, white men abducted and assaulted black women with alarming regularity. White men lured black women and girls away from home with promises of steady work and better wages, attacked them on the job, abducted them at gunpoint while traveling to or from home, work, or church, raped them as a form of retribution or to enforce rules of racial and economic hierarchy, sexually humiliated and assaulted them on streetcars and buses, in taxicabs and trains, and in other public spaces. As the acclaimed freedom fighter Fannie Lou Hamer put it, a black woman's body was never hers alone. Black women did not keep their stories secret. African American women reclaimed their bodies and their humanity by testifying about their assaults. They launched the first public attacks on sexual violence as a systemic abuse of women in response to slavery and the wave of lynchings in the post-emancipation South. Slave narratives offer stark testimony about the brutal sexual exploitation bondswomen faced. For example, Harriet Jacobs detailed her master's lechery in her autobiography to arouse the women of the North and to
Sample complete. Ready to continue?